This program is designed to provide general information with regards to the subject matters covered. This information is given with the understanding that neither the hosts, guests, sponsors, or station are engaged in rendering any specific and personal, medical, financial, legal, counseling, professional service, or any advice. You should seek the services of competent professionals before applying or trying any suggested ideas.
Books, PD products, science, fashion, and glam talk. From Bollywood to Hollywood, it's Meet and Greet with Dr. Afshan Hashmi, right here on K4HD Radio and Talk4 TV. And here's your host, international speaker, educator, award-winning entrepreneur, and best-selling author, Dr. Afshan Hashmi.
Hello everyone, this is your loving host and best-selling author, radio and TV personality, Dr. Afshan Hashmi, live from her studio, Saudi Arabia style studio in Rockville, Maryland. And here folks, the glare is coming, although I tried to close the thing. I don't know why the glare is coming. So having said that, folks, today I want to remind you that these are my two books. The first one is The Modern Mughal Mentality, New Strategies to Succeed in India and the Global Marketplace. And the second one is The Outbreak of a Monstrous Infection. So the first one is The Modern Mughal Mentality with Amazon. It was an Amazon bestseller in India and in USA, and hot #1 new release on Amazon in USA. And this one, The Outbreak of a Monstrous Infection, was actually, the best Amazon bestseller in USA, and these books are available worldwide. And I want, folks, that to please go and buy these two books and give me an honest review. And also, this show is syndicated worldwide to 300 million listeners. And so please go and sponsor my show. And today I have a very, very interesting guest, a guy, who I didn't know. I haven't met him in person, only virtual talks and all, but he is the producer of this show of Talk4 Media, and I buy time from him. So, and I want to bring him in, and many hiccups came in my radio and TV show, but he did not back off, from giving me this chance. And I really love him. I have never met him. He's like my older brother who gives me insights. He taught me, free of cost, how to manage this all and everything. And I really love him. And here I introduce world famous producer Dean Piper.
Well, hello, Afshan. How are you?
I'm fine.
And I have to say, I love all the words you said except old. Okay. Older.
Okay.
I might be the younger brother. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
So I'm glad to be on your show here.
So just a little bit that how this Talk4 Media, came into existence, and what were your hiccups and what is your experience? Because many people like me also, if I want to set up a radio station, what should I look into? Because you own so many radio stations. So how did this all opportunity came about, and what are your next plans?
So it started with a vision. I used to be very big in the investment and insurance business, and I used to be like you and buy time to do a radio show. And also as a motivational speaker, I've shared the stage with all of the big name motivational speakers. And, I used to use the radio show to promote my investment business, to promote my motivational speaking, to promote my positive message. And I saw a shift going on in the media world back in 2007, where streaming was first starting. There was no such word as it yet. It was just called internet radio. And there wasn't even podcasting yet. Podcasting is just a fancy word for a recording, but it's become the buzzword and the buzz thing, and everybody wants to have a podcast now. But I was there before it even existed. As a matter of fact, my organization was the one that we beta tested iHeartRadio's original podcast network called iHeart Talk, because podcast was not a word yet. And basically, I had this vision, the very beginning of, media was going to change, that it was going to be what it is today. And I like to associate like Bill Gates and IBM. Like Bill Gates came out while he was working at IBM and said, hey, I have an idea for, a personal computer in everybody's home. And IBM's answer to that was, yeah, that'll never happen. The mainframe's never going away, and you're nuts. And that's when Bill Gates decided to leave IBM and start Microsoft. And ergo, here we are today doing this show on PCs, the vision that Bill Gates had. Well, it was the same for me. Like, you had terrestrial radio, and then internet radio came out, but all these people, and this also answers your question, they were like, well, now, with internet radio, I can just do it from my bedroom. And my answer is no. Just because you can, you can do it. I can do it as far as the host, but not running the actual radio station. Okay. A real radio station needs to be licensed. It needs to pay royalties like we do. It needs to have professional studios, professional engineers, even though Rebel's engineering this show. And I'm just joking, Rebel. Not really, but maybe. Go ahead. What are you going to say, Rebel? Go ahead. I see you trying to chime in.
I'm not even going to go there with you.
No, Rebel, we want you because we love you. You are my very good friend. Just come over and show your face, because all my 300 million audience wants to see who Rebel is and why do I always want Rebel.
Oh, nobody wants to see her. She's got a face for radio.
Yeah.
So and state of the art equipment. Like, listen, people say, well, I can watch a YouTube video and I could do my own radio station. Yeah, you could. You could also watch a YouTube video on doing brain surgery. I don't want you pulling a scalpel to my head, though. Yeah. And that's the point. You got to run. And if this type of medium I saw where it was going, but it had to be run professionally. So if you're going to have internet radio and you're going to have it compete with terrestrial radio, you had to have all the things that terrestrial radio had. Professional studios. Yes.
I don't want to interrupt you, but I remember one thing. I was with Block Talk Radio, and you said that, anytime you could be cashed, that they can say that you are not licensed, So
yes.
What was that story?
Well, because this is the problem with people that are not from the industry, try and come in the industry because they watch some video and listen to some snake oil salesman saying that they can, do their own podcast and it'll cost them nothing. No, that's not true. You could. It's not going to do anything, though. The licensing alone is required by law. And with that licensing, I have to do reporting every single month or quarter of what we're playing, and I have to pay royalties, and I pay licensing fees throughout for the whole year too. Without that licensing, you're breaking the law. Okay, you're breaking the law. People think they're not. They're like, well, I don't need to. I've had people say to me, well, why should I have to pay royalties? They should be.
Like people do podcast on StreamYard, on YouTube and all that without having, to go to a radio station. So
they're doing it, but they're going to get caught, and it's going to cost them a lot of money is what's going to happen. That like even Spotify got fined years ago over $500,000 for not paying royalties. Same thing. Like, it's been the wild, wild west. And once the government figures out how to regulate things, which they have been doing now, but in the beginning they weren't, they're not going to come slap you in the hand. They're going to let you do enough and dig a deep enough hole that they can put you out of business. Okay.
So because if you like, I do my show on StreamYard and I just send you to spread it worldwide. So what is the situation there?
Well, because you're recording it, but we're broadcasting it. And when you're broadcasting it, it has to be licensed and it has to be done by the rules and by the law. And yeah, you can put stuff, but you'll see that the YouTube is cracking down lately. They've been using AI to scour through. I've had it too, even on Spotify. Like I get right now in 2025, this whole year, every single day, I'm getting hundreds of emails from Spotify verifying that I have the right to play the things I'm playing, or they're taking it down and I could possibly get fined. It could be quite expensive if you get caught. It's like anything else. Sure, you can break the law and you might not get caught, but when you do get caught, then there's a problem. And the other thing is people have to feel that you're a professional and not a scammer. And the way to do that is to do it the legal way. That's, and then on top of it, to be taken seriously, you have to run it like a real radio station. So like I was saying, we have professional engineers, professional studios, state-of-the-art equipment, but we also do a lot of things that terrestrial stations do, like do live remote broadcasts for events. We go do radio and media coverage at different events and music festivals and conferences. We do everything as if it were a terrestrial station. Most of the people that are just reading some stuff or watching YouTube, they're not doing any of that. They're just talking because they love to hear themselves talk. Let's call it what it is. Most podcasters have an ego, and they all think they have the best content ever. But if your content is not quality and good sound quality and isn't legal, it doesn't do a bit of good for you. And, even when I have guests that come on my show, I'm like, well, why should you be a guest on my show? And this shows the ego. They say to me, because I have great content. And then my next statement to them is, well, so do millions of other people doing podcasts. Now what do you have? And they never have that next answer. Content is great, but it's not enough. It's not enough to become a successful radio show host, podcaster, what have you. And most of these podcasters that do it on their own, their listeners are their friends and family that already know them. So that doesn't help much either. You need to go on a network like ours where we already have a built-in organic audience throughout the world where that your message can get to, because without an organization like mine, your message isn't getting to them. Your message is getting to just the people you know, or you make it a full-time job to spend a lot of money marketing and promoting and all that. You cannot build something without promoting it and without investing in it. There are no free lunches. People think they could do it for free. Even the mics, they go out and buy a $20 mic. A $20 mic is what you give your kid on Christmas that they can play with. It's not something you produce a radio show or podcast with. So because of that, we really made a name for ourselves because we were doing it different in the beginning back in 2007 than anybody else was, because we were doing it the right way. And that's why we're still here 18 years later. And most of the people that were around then are not around anymore, because it's a great idea, but you still got to run a business like a business. And, as you can testify to, we're a well-oiled machine, and we make for hosts like you easy. Then you can just come on and do your thing, and you don't have to worry about all the other stuff because we're doing it for you.
So we are going to continue the conversation after the first break. Rebel, please do the sponsorship video.
Hello viewers around the globe, this is Dr. Afshan Hashmi, live for her radio show at K4HD and Talk 4 TV show, and I just wanted to request you that please give me sponsorship if you want this show to continue. Having said that, friends, I will see you in another episode of K4HD Radio plus Talk 4 TV show, and if you give me sponsorship, I will give you very reasonable price, and also you will get lot of promotion as this show is syndicated worldwide to more than 300 million listeners. Cheers and bye bye.
So Dean, I have this question that when I gave you my first call, and you said that I really negotiated a good price. So, and you always say I'm a very good negotiator. So, what qualities did I have that you chose me?
Well, I chose you because you have a strong message and a strong belief in what you're doing and a strong belief in helping people. And that's the first and most important part over money, over anything else. You are somebody that the world needs to hear. Now, as far as a negotiator, well, you're tough, okay? Like I'm a Jew. We're supposed to be the master negotiators, but I'm sorry. I think your background, man, you really beat me up a lot.
So, you think like I am better than Jews in negotiating?
Yeah, and I'm a really good
I take it as a
negotiator.
compliment.
Right? Exactly. That's why I say that. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, you definitely you should be that for a living. Let you could even be what for your book, the Monstrous Infection book, you could be the hostage negotiator.
So what have you thought about you being my Hollywood agent? I still am looking for a Hollywood agent, and I have been talking to you. So what is those hiccups? That you are not taking that job.
Well, I think you're on your way doing it by doing this show. Okay. So things are very different nowadays, than they used to be in Hollywood. A lot of people are doing what you're doing, paying to have a show on network like mine and getting the
Uh-huh.
exposure. And then Hollywood will find you. You know,
Okay.
it Hollywood and the record labels and all that, they want you already to succeed first, then they bring you on. It's not like the old days where they threw money at you and took a shot. They don't do
Uh-huh.
that anymore. They look at things like what you're already doing. They don't want to train you. They don't want to get you there. They want you there, and then they'll take you to a whole different level.
So what should I do improvement in that in bringing my book to film?
Well, first of all, continue doing what you're doing. Promote, 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 promote. Put it
Uh-huh.
out there, and just like sometimes it's just luck. It's like running into the right person at the right time.
I ran
Yeah,
into you, but
yeah,
still
well,
not
that's
today.
right, and that's a first step there, right there.
Uh-huh.
And and but I mean, it takes time. There's a saying in the TV and radio and music business, and that is, it takes 20 years to become an overnight sensation. So, like, people think that these people just wake up one day and they become stars. No, they starved, they worked hard, they put a lot of blood and sweat into it, and that's how they get there. And that is what you do have on your side, Afshan, because you do put a lot of blood and sweat into what you're doing. You work very hard and you're continuous. And that's part of what it takes nowadays. We only hear about them once they're a success. We don't
Yes.
hear about what they had to go through to get there.
Yes, yes. Thanks a lot, for motivating me, because after my husband's death, I need lot of motivation. And but the problem is that I am even like not getting a sponsorship. I tried everything and I'm not getting sponsorships. I sponsor my own show, so I'm not getting a sponsorship. You have sent me those links and all. I have written to them what is going on in the sponsorship business, because you guys have lot of sponsorship. What I am not doing, that I'm not getting a sponsorship.
Well, because and to be honest, it's a sales process, not a negotiating process. So
Okay.
even though you're the master negotiator, it's the sales techniques, and part of those sales techniques is not like browbeating people, or it's like you got to make it their idea. When you're trying to pitch something to somebody, you're the salesperson, you're the enemy, and it's not a good idea. But when you make it their idea, then it's a good idea and they can't object to that. Example, okay? So If I said to you, if I was looking for you to be a potential sponsor of my show, I would say to you, Afshan, if I presented an opportunity to you that would benefit your business, your book, your message, everything else, is that the type of thing that you would take advantage of? What would you say? You would say yes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I would say something to the effect of, well, we have exposure to over 300 million listeners. We are a professional station, licensed. We have listeners all around the world. I'm sure that's the type of exposure you're looking for your business, right? And again, you would probably say yes. And then I would say something to the effect of, well, then what's holding you back? And see, the key is to getting sponsors or any kind of sales is not, salespeople aren't the best talkers, they're the best listeners. The key is questions. So when you ask questions, there's a few things that happen. Certain questions, like the ones I was just asking, are what's called trial closes. They're asking small closing questions to get the yes answer to program people to say yes to the big question. Then there's the probing questions, which are the questions to find out more about the person. You got to show you care. You got to show that it's not about you. It's not about them spending money with you. It's about you helping them. So by doing that, you ask questions to find out what their needs, desires, because everybody's needs, desires, and goals are very different. So you have to ask these questions so you find out about them so you could provide them a custom situation that's what they're looking for, what they need, and will satisfy their goals. And a lot of sales is psychology of sales. Okay. There's even a book on it. And I'm going to even show you a little example of that right now. We're going to do a lab experiment right here. Okay. So like I said before, you ask these trial close questions to get the yes answers to small questions to get the yes and no. And what we're doing there is we're programming them. Okay. Psychologically. So as an example, I want you to do me a favor, and I want you to say the word joke 10 times fast. Say it for me right on the air. Joke, 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 joke,
joke, joke, joke, joke, joke, joke, joke, joke, joke, joke. Yes.
And what's the white part of an egg?
White part of an egg?
Yeah.
It's a white thing. Yeah.
Yeah. See, you're pretty good. Most people would say the yolk because you were saying joke, 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 and they automatically 99% of the time people say yolk. Because they're not thinking, they're just automatically answering because you're programming them with the smaller questions. So like we could even mess with Rebel a little bit. Okay, Rebel, come on. Are you ready, Rebel?
Am I ever? I ever?
Okay. Do me a favor and say bread 10 times fast.
Bread.
Don't say that. Never mind. I screwed it up. Okay. Say toast 10 times fast.
Toast.
What do you put in the toaster?
Bread.
Yeah, because I screwed it up. But most people would say toast. I screwed it up by saying the bread. But you would say toast. And then it's like, no, you put bread in the toaster and you take toast out. But people, that's how our mind works. Sometimes we don't even think about it. And especially today, because how many times on social media do people share articles that they don't even read? They just see the headline and share it because they think it fits their narrative.
All day, every day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. Rebel does it all day long. There's times I've said to Rebel, why are you sharing that? Oh, I'm saving it so I can read it later. Like, yeah, that's not the point of sharing.
But that's what I do. I don't have time to read it. I see it. It looks something I want to possibly take an interest in, or at least read later.
Right. So save it for later. Don't share it with the world as your belief system when you don't even know what you're sharing.
Just because you put something on the wall doesn't mean it's your belief system. It just means you like
everybody would think that. Everybody would think that. If you put on there something, they're going to think that's your belief system. That's just the way it works.
So,
And
there was a hiccup there, that there was this baseball player, and remember, he sent me so many emails about his sponsorship. And then when you talk to him, he was so rowdy and so that. So, what do you think? Yeah, people are just sending me. I mean, I spent so much of time there, and I thought, he's a baseball or a player or so. He will, give me sponsorship. But I don't know what happened at
so
that.
you don't assume what people are. That's to begin with. The best sponsors are the people you think won't be your sponsors. The people that you think will be never will be. It certainly kind of works that way, number one. Number two, it's the what's in it for me thing. See, you're worried about he's a baseball player. He should just give you money. And he's thinking, no, I worked hard for that money. So you have to convince them. That goes back to making it their idea instead of your idea. Instead of you thinking they should give you money, I'm more like, hey, I can help you. What kind of help do you need? And then they tell me, I'm like, well, if I could fulfill that, would you take advantage of it? Yes. You got to find, and not everybody's good. It's a numbers game. Listen, you have to talk to a lot of people. It's a numbers game. If you talk to 20 people, probably only 5 to 7 of them are going to agree to even get more information. And out of that, only 1 out of 10 would probably do business with you.
I have tried so hard, and it is so hard to get a sponsorship, and without a sponsorship to carry out this show is very, very difficult. Whatever, I think, all those ideas are in my mind. I go blow it out, on people, but nothing is working.
Well, you got to give them something first. Okay. Like as example, have them be a guest on your show for free first.
Okay.
Get them interested, get them to get to know you and trust you, because there's so many people they could give their money to.
Okay.
They're only going to give their money to somebody they trust and that they feel is confident to help them, not yourself. When you keep focusing on that, it's all about them.
See, you are a Jewish man. I am a Muslim woman, and in your community, everyone is so empowered. In our community, people are not in that position. They are hand to mouth. My contacts are hand to mouth. So they cannot sponsor my show. But if I go to Middle East and start talking to these kings and queens and all that, I don't have those kind of contacts, to get those, because they have money,
Don't go after the elephants, go after the peanuts. And do you know what that means? It means that people like what you're saying, you don't go after the people that are the kings, the queens, the big money, because they have too many choices. They have too much time and they have not enough time. They're not going to, they may not give you the time of day. You have to go after the small business owner. You have to go out. They're the ones that will spend money with you, the people that you can actually talk to, the people that are not out of reach.
I have tried with small, big, and middle people, but it's not happening, and I really need a sponsorship. So folks, this is my producer, I brought him here. There is someone by name of Dean Piper, through whom I buy time. He's a very successful man and he owns a lot of radio shows, and my show is syndicated worldwide to 300 million listeners. So I would request you to please sponsor my show if you like my show. So Dean, you had an army radio also, and you have many different kinds of radio. So how much investment did you do in the beginning to make a radio show?
Well, that's the point. That's another thing I was talking about earlier. To have a radio station, you can't do it on peanuts, and people think they can. I've had people think they can, and they don't even last a month. I have to basically, to run my radio network, I have to make $50,000 a month just to breathe. That if you want to run a business, you run it the right way. You have to invest in your business. And you have to build a bit. Listen, even Amazon, Jeff Bezos started in the garage of his home with some books.
Yeah.
Okay. But then as the money's coming, he's investing the money and became the mega company it is today. There's no mega company out there today that started by doing things, I'll say it, the cheap way.
Okay.
The cheap way is doing it DIY. The cheap way is going and buying a cheap mic. The cheap way is not paying for time. You know,
I have the right equipment and everything. I made this very innovative kind, because usually people sit on the chair. I am sitting, this is called a majlis, because I always give you culture of Islam. Because when we started, your thinking was, because you have never met a Muslim woman and you thought like all Muslims are terrorists, you know. But now you think that there is this girl who's very peaceful. So I'm an example to you. So I made this innovative thing like Saudi, and I want to rent the studio. So what is the renting business? You know, like I can, you know, just this studio I rent for per hour. I want to do that, but I haven't got any gigs yet, you know. So how do I do that?
You need money. That's the bottom line. And going back to what you said, I never thought that about you, because here's my viewpoint is, I've met some great Muslims. I've lived for months at a time in the Netherlands with all the Muslims in the area I was living. It was all Muslim. It's such a big lie and fallacy throughout the world. I want to say that right now, since you brought it up. You know, listen, the terrorists are fundamentalists, and the stuff they're preaching isn't even the Quran.
Yes,
You know, what's in the Quran, I've read the Quran. The Quran is a peaceful book, in my opinion, from reading it.
Yeah.
They twist this crap around, the terrorists. And, you know, listen, my naturopath that has helped me through a lot of things, she's Persian. She practices Persian medicine, which is where the Chinese got it from.
Also, you go for like Ayurvedic medication. That's what it's called, Indian Desi word.
I do that too, but she does a lot of other things. And you know, it's all about food with her. And, you know, Iranians and Jews are not supposed to be friendly with each other if it's up to the powers that be. And her and I talk about it all the time. It's our governments that create this bullshit, you know, to be blunt, you know, because generally, you know, we can get along. It's they want us fighting. Even the whole situation going on right now over there, it's all a bunch of bull crap for people to grab more power or whatever they need and have us hating each other. We're all human beings. We all have our own things, and we're all very similar. You know, it's very interesting because we're all Middle Easterners. If you're a Jew from Israel, you're a Middle Easterner. You know, if you looked at an Israeli and you looked at an Iranian, you wouldn't know which was the Jew and which was the Muslim. You just wouldn't.
Absolutely right.
You know,
right.
And this is the problem that we have right now. And I brought it up because I said it because you brought it up, because you know what? There's a lot of protesting going on in this world, and we need to just love each other, because you know what? All those powers that be are the ones that are wrong, not us innocent people who just want to like each other. I don't care if somebody, what their religion is, what their race is, as long as they are not intentionally trying to hurt somebody, they deserve to be who they are. And you know what? If you being a Muslim or somebody being a Christian or somebody being a Jew, if that makes them a better person, that's the right religion for them. You know, we don't have to believe the same thing. But the one thing I do know from reading studying all religions is we all basically believe the same thing. We have just different takes on it. What I loved most of all was, so I also, as a Jew, I also have Buddhist philosophies. I love Buddhist philosophies, you know, the whole positivity of it, the mind. I'm also very much into the Kabbalah, which is all about positivity and power of the mind. And, you know, when I was in Bali, I went into the Hindu temples, and one particular one really made me feel good because it was a combo Buddhist Hindu temple. They shared it. And to me, that's an example for the world, They didn't need to be segregated. They were two different religions or philosophies that are sharing the same house of worship to do it differently. That's the way we should all be together like that. I could tell you too, like when I was in Bali, you're going to laugh at this, okay? Because Indonesia is a primarily Muslim country, okay? And it was so funny because I heard this noise, like I thought it was a concert. It was like 11 o'clock at night. Like, what is that? And I actually was like, whoa, that sounds cool. I went outside, and it turned out that it was Muslim services, because as you know, it's at different hours of the day, and it gets really loud. Like once I was there for a while, I'm like, oh, okay, I get it now. I didn't know it at first.
Yeah. That is the problem, yeah.
And I've been to Istanbul, and right outside the airport in Istanbul is one of the most beautiful mosques. Mm-hmm. And like, I'm a Jew, and I walked into that mosque because I was interested in it. And and it looked nice and stuff. You don't have to, like some Jews, some Muslims are like, oh, I wouldn't, or Christians, I wouldn't walk in there or whatever.
Yeah.
No, like it was beautiful. And most of the Muslims, the true Muslims that I know, are peaceful people that have a strong belief in their religion. And I have no problem with that if that strong belief is not about, hurting people. And the Quran does not teach you to hurt people. And I want to dispel that myth as a Jew right here and now, because terrorists go by their own agenda. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to say it right now. I don't know how you feel. I'd like to hear how you feel, but blows my mind how many people are pro Hamas in this world that we're in right now, and I think even if I was a Muslim, I'd be like, the Hamas and all the other terrorist organizations are just giving our religion and our people a bad name. Yeah. What's your feelings on that?
I have one question. Our American policies, it feels like, you are not that democratic anymore. You are more controlled. What do you think?
We never were democratic. That was the big lie. We're a constitutional republic. We always have been. If we were a democracy, we wouldn't have just two parties, and we have more parties, but none of them really count. They don't win ever. It's a two-party system. And as long as you have the electoral college and a two-party system, you're not a true democracy. I find it amazing that we go out around the world preaching democracy, and we really don't have a true democracy. We have a constitutional republic based on democratic values, but not a true democracy. And we are turning more extreme. We're becoming the extremist here. That's what's interesting on both sides. I'm a very middle of the road person. I have both conservative and liberal viewpoints, depending on what it is. I hate the extremes. I don't like the alt-right. I don't like the far left. And not because they're left, not because they're right, because they're extremists that just use it to hate people and to not be nice.
So how do you think about reality shows? Because I want to do some reality shows with you conducting it, like I want to show this studio. I want to show like my house. Like I live in a small place, my cupboard, I don't have a big cupboard, but I have a lot of clothes. And so I will talk to you in privately about that and all. So what do you think about that kind of idea?
Well, I like reality shows. I don't like to watch them personally myself, but I think they're a great idea and people can relate to it. And I've done reality shows on my own show, and I think also, like, I'd like to have my own reality show because then I'll become the president of the United States of America. So I think that's a requirement. I think they're changing it, that's a requirement now to
Yeah.
be the president.
But he was a billionaire before also, and he's so popular, He's so
Yeah,
popular.
yeah, and the
He's
fact
from
is,
Florida.
to me, this whole division thing is ridiculous because that's the powers that be, so they can get what they want and divide us. It's the oldest trick in the book: divide and conquer. You know what?
Yes.
I say, everybody, you do you. As long as you're not hurting anybody intentionally, you do you. You believe what you want to believe, and let's all just love each other for our
That's
differences.
great
I
because
don't want to
and
be
let live.
around a bunch of clones.
Yes, yes. Live and let live is the thing.
Yeah,
And
everybody has
the
different
other thing is,
reasons.
yes, the other thing is this, that many people are, by duress, they know that I live alone. By duress, they want, to be my co-host. They are putting pressure on me. They are doing threatening calls and those kind of stuff. So how would you deal with these kind of problems? Because you might be having the same problem, because you are a big host. Remember when we started, there was some noise and bad words coming from India, somewhere. So how do you deal with those kind of, because I'm facing, since my husband has died, I am facing lot of those kind of problems.
Mm.
Everyone, as soon as they see it's 300 million listeners, they want to be co-host in my show. So what should I do about it?
First of all, I wouldn't talk to him. Second of all, you could invite him over to my place. I'm on the 36th floor, and I'll throw him off the balcony.
Okay. So
Uh,
if they threaten me, I will say, go and talk to my producer. That's what
yeah,
I'm doing.
and then as I'm driving from where I live to the studio, I'll drop them off at Mar-a-Lago because I have to pass Mar-a-Lago on the way to the studio, and
Okay.
I'll let them handle them over at Mar-a-Lago. They'll take good care of them.
Oh, that's interesting. So you see that place every day?
Well, I don't go to the studio every day anymore, but yeah, I pass by there, and when you pass by, also you have to pass by the airport because it's right near the airport, and
I wish I could see that place,
you see Trump Air Force One, and now we have the Qatar one, and the Qatar.
Oh, the Qatar plane is here?
I don't know if it's here yet, but we're gonna have it, I guess.
Okay. Okay. So what else do you want to say to my audience? And because we are just, going to wrap it up.
I want to say that you are a phenomenal human being and a phenomenal show host, and we're glad to have you here on the network. And
So are you.
I
You are
think
great.
your listeners that are listening right now, they're all very lucky people to have people like you on their side.
Thank you so much, Dean. And what else?
And that's in spite of Rebel.
So if you want, people to contact you, what is your contact information and all? And yes, and one thing more, internet. Like your podcast was number one on internet. So I want to touch that also before we go.
Yeah, well, so we have number one ranked radio stations. My podcast is ranked number two on Apple, and I also tour the world doing radio coverage at conferences, music festivals. In fact, I just got back from 2 months, and I have a little bit of downtime. That's why you were lucky enough to get me. And then next week I'm heading off to UK, to Europe, to France. I have a festival in the UK, in France, and then I'm also, so there's 2 days between those two festivals. So I'm hopping on a plane down for a couple days to Marrakesh.
Okay.
Hopefully I'll be safe there, being a Jew.
Yeah, you are into Moroccan girls. I know that because you really like Moroccan girls. Am I not right about it? Because
I
you
don't know. Well, we'll find out when I get there.
So it was nice meeting you. So this was my wonderful producer, Dean Piper, and he gave me that chance, and I buy time from him, and he's famous worldwide. And so you can contact him, and please give your contact information.
Yes. So You can find me on all socials under Pipeman Radio, Pipeman Radio. All socials, I'm on everything. You can also check out my my show on iHeartRadio or anywhere you listen to podcasts. It's also live Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays at 1 p.m. Eastern Time on W4CY Radio, W4CY.com, and also Talk4 TV. And you can also catch, I have a website. Well, there's websites for all the radio stations here, K4HD.com, W4CY.com, W4WN.com, K4HD.com. Oh, that's here. W4HC.com, W4CS.com, and we have Talk4 Media, which has all our podcasts on there. And you get my website for my podcast is the Adventures of Pipeman.com. I also have another one that's pipemanradio.com and an app, Pipeman Radio. And there is an app for Talk4 Media, and there's an app for all the stations. So there is an app for that. And
one thing more, the radio show, if I would say, they would think I come from the horse mouth. It goes in every car of the world, right? If they have
yeah, you can listen to our shows, or if you want to broadcast your own show, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world. We have clients that do shows from all over the world, and reach out to me. You can DM me. You can email me at dean@talk4media.com. If you want to do a show, we can talk about it. And if you need marketing, we can talk about that. And if you want to sponsor Afshan's show, call me, because I'll sell you, because you should be a sponsor on her show.
So just tell your number so people can call you.
I will, but it's dangerous because all the girls like to call me. Ask Rebel what happens. Yeah,
Okay.
They even call into my radio show to buy my fake Groupon. But my number is 561. It's US, so it's +1 if you're not in the US. 561-506-4031. And I'll tell you what, we also do ticket giveaways on the station for festivals and stuff like that. But reach out to me. I know I can help you, and I know Afshan can help you. And I am very honored to be on your show here. And it's probably my best honor of the day. And I already did my show, so it's even more of an honor than doing my own show.
Thank you so much, Dean. I really appreciate that. And folks, this show is syndicated worldwide to 300 million listeners. So just, this is the guy, to contact and buy time. Having said that, folks, cheers. Oh, thank you, Dean, for coming in my show. And it was an honor talking to you. And I will be talking about that show, about that reality show, what I'm planning, So we will talk about it. Having said that, folks, cheers and bye-bye. And thank you, Dean. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to Meet and Greet with Dr. Afshan Hashmi on K4HD Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in live right here every Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Would you love exposure to your business, product, or service to over 300 million potential listeners? Send an email to info@talk4media.com. And remember, if you missed any part of the show or want to hear it again, find our featured show on iHeartRadio or YouTube, where all past episodes are available on demand 24/7. See you next Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on K4HD and Talk4 TV.